We meet again on video 2, where I discuss the language of all your different planets coming together and the signs that they're in and the energies of your sun and your moon and your rising and how it creates a whole vibe. And the vibe really makes more sense when we get into discussing the juice and the story of the different signs on the natal chart. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, blah, blah, blah. But really knowing the main anchors of the signs that you're interested, because let's be real, if you're here, if we're all here, it's because we have a curiosity in understanding our own stars. And if there's a place that we want to know where to start in terms of understanding our own stars, it's understanding our sun sign, our rising sign, and our moon sign. So in this video, I'll be guiding you to understanding, okay, what are those three signs? What is that big three? And in the next video, I'll be guiding you through more understanding the placements. So what that is understanding, okay, what does your sun in the chart actually mean? Because your horoscope in Vogue or in Cosmo does not necessarily equate what your sun sign actually is. And your sun sign is like, you know, what you're born as. So I'm born as a Cancer is my sun sign, which is really tragic as a kid when you hear that. It's like, can't the horoscope have been like, you're crap? Like, that would have been sweet. But yeah, I made peace with it. I appreciate it, and I understand it much better. I made peace with the whole thing. And Cancers are very sexual, which I'll, in the previous video, if you watch how to watch your chart, it clicked, it dawned on me, and it's still there. When I share my screen, you're still gonna see it. But when I watch videos on YouTube and I'm understanding something and people are sharing their screen, I like seeing what's bookmarked and what people have on their tabs. And I realized when I was sharing my screen that you could see I have Erotic Freedom Club on there. So Cancers are very sexual, and I'm comfortable in my sexuality, as you'll see as I unravel through different programs and offers that I have. But we're here to talk about astrology, more specifically about the different planets, aka your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign. So let's proceed, shall we? I'll share my screen so that I actually stay on target. All right, so share my desktop. Actually, no, I should do that because I have texts coming in and they can distract me. So I'm going to keep it simple. There are way more planets that I could tell you about, and I will in other videos. But right now, these big three, understanding these is the place to start. It's the anchor that will really allow the dialogue to start making more sense. Only then can you really start getting more fascinated, understanding the meaning of your Mercury placement and your Uranus placement and your North Node and your South Node. Like, these basic three things are the juju, the whole meat and potatoes of beginning of understanding the 101 of your astro. So your rising sign is your social personality. This is just the overview. I'll be diving into what these mean in more detail in the next slides. But your rising sign is your social personality. So without ever hearing anything coming out of my voice, what do people kind of think of me when they see me? Your sun sign is when you start speaking and when people kind of get a general vibe of you. Uh, how do you come across? Your moon sign is more of your intimate self. So more specifically, let's get into this. When you really get into it, it makes more sense. And I tend to want to talk about things before I actually get to it. So let me give myself a chance here. So your rising sign, your social personality. So this rising sign, it's always located at the same place. So it's always located between the 12th house and the first house. And what that means is that, I know there's my image of me here with the little dog. So what that means is, okay, I'll make this a little bit more here, like this thing here, it's always going to be where it's pointing, like this here, it's always going to be here, your rising sign. So I'm a Cancer rising, so the arrow is right there. And this is a whole sign, so, and it's also written on astro.com. So your rising sign is always at the same place between the 12th house and the first house, and it's how you appear at the surface. So um if you had a biography, like it would be a one-liner that would kind of make sense. So I'm a Cancer through and through. I'm a Cancer rising and a Cancer sun, so I feel like I'm not necessarily a good example, but my sister, for example, she's a Pisces, but she's very like balanced in how she wants to see things. Like she very much has a clear idea of what she knows from right from wrong, and what's good and bad, and like she has like very Libra tendencies, and she's like a Libra rising. If you didn't really, and she has this like mystical, beautiful, just harvest essence about her, where there's like this beauty that you don't quite understand, but it's kind of there, and that's kind of this Libra vibes when we get into it. So like that's kind of how I see it. It's your rising sign is kind of like the yeah, like she has absolutely no Libra elements in her chart, nothing, no sun, no planets, no nothing. She's just a Libra rising, but it's like the Libra makes more sense than the Pisces. So your rising sign sometimes can make way more sense than your sun sign. So uh like yeah, your rising sign is kind of like if you have no real idea of who you are, they can get a clue, get some sort of clue based on where you're at. Like if you think about it, if you're moving in a city that's kind of suburban and there's like apartments and houses and office buildings, your rising sign would kind of be like, I get it, okay, you're a house, like you're a house, you're not an office building, you're a house. It's the essence of your social self. It's just, it'll make more sense when we get more into the meat and potatoes of what the sign actually means. Let's move on to your sign. So your sun sign is your basic personality. So that when you're looking at your house, so it's here, it's the sun, it's this guy. So I got a whole lot of stuff here in my first house. But your sun, it's the house, and the sign that it's in really tells the story of the sun in relation to your life and your personality. So how do you naturally shine, and how do you move in the world and in society? So past the initial momentary surface of your rising sign, past once we get a general idea of like, okay, you have Libra vibes, clearly, like it must be, you must have some sort of Libra in your chart. And I'm speaking of like someone who's perceiving my sister, because I have my sister in mind, um as like who knows astrology. Clearly that's not the case. um but it's just like when she actually starts speaking, like she's very philosophical and very thoughtful and very intuitive, which is like things of that are Pisces. But when you actually look at the planet that it's in, so me, like my sun is in the first house and it's in Cancer, like I love to shine. I love to be in front of the camera. I love to tell people what helps me shine. I love to empower myself in a way that empowers other people. So it's just things that you naturally do. Like it's just, it doesn't really require any effort for you to do. It's just, you do it, you shine in that way. People just see me as I am. I just shine as I am. I don't even really need to try. Like even when I'm dark, I shine. Like even when I dark, I over mother people. Like being a Cancer is very mothering, and having the sun and a whole bunch of planets in Cancer, like I one of my wounds is to over mother. So like your sun sign, it doesn't really matter what you think about it. It's just, it just makes sense. And it'll make more sense when we move into the meat, juice, and potatoes of what the signs actually mean and what the houses actually means. But right now, I just want to introduce you to the concept of your sun sign in partnership with your rising sign. And the next one, this was like the really cool one for me when I found out about astrology like 4 years ago and became a junkie student. Now, let's just say your emotional personality. So the moon is your emotional personality. So what that is like, who are you behind closed doors? Who are you in your insides when the pressure comes off and you could really get intimate with yourself and how you feel, and how can you replenish yourself so that you can really start doing and acting with the sun that you are and shine again, because like the moon doesn't always shine, right? Like the moon waxes and wanes and goes full and goes dark, and she needs to like replenish in order to keep shining. So how do you replenish when you go dark so that you could keep shining in a way that empowers you to keep shining? So the moon is this slower, more sensual, unknown, mysteriously intriguing part of you. So like, how do you intimately reassess and recalibrate your way back into being able to shine with potency and impact in the context of your day-to-day and your greater mission? So if you think about like a community, like a language of your signs and this threesome of things happening together. So your rising sign is like, if you're driving through a suburb and there's a red house and a white house and a blue house and a brick house and a, like, there's all these different houses. What kind of house is it? Like, what kind of house do you look like at the surface? The sun sign is when you actually start getting an idea of, okay, how does this person naturally shine? How is the house occupied? Like, is the lawn taken care of? Like, is the what's the garden looking like? Is it just gnome statues? Is there just a bunch of pink flamingos? Like, what's up? What's happening with the lawn? And the moon is when you actually enter the house. Like, what's happening inside when no one's really looking? So if all three are very different and it's in very different elements, when it comes to understanding your signs, so like in the elements, there's water, fire, air, and the water, fire, air, earth. Um, you could be all across the spectrum. And the way that we've understood astrology normally just makes no sense. It just makes no sense. So yeah, it's a spectrum, and this is a language, and this is a communication. So onwards. Let's move on to the 12 signs and what they actually mean, because that's like understanding the signs and the essence, and then understanding like the meanings of the houses, and then understanding the planets and layering on the understanding of all those things together. There's magic in that simplicity, and there's magic in bringing it to the basics. So keep an open mind when we go through the different signs. If like you're an Aries, for example, and you're like, okay, this makes no sense, I'm definitely not bold, I'm definitely not impatient, it's probably because your rising and your moon is just not vibes with Aries. Like maybe you're Pisces and you're Cancer along with your Aries, so it's like, I'm chill. But then again, sometimes Cancers are really full of energy. I'm a Cancer, I'm all water, baby. All water is supposed to be like sensual and not moving, but I'm on fire. Anyways, okay, moving on to the story. So I'm gonna broach this in quarters. So as you can see, I'm thirsty. I'm just gonna take some water. Okay, as you can see, there's 12 like pieces of cakes here because there's 12 signs. Each sign governs a house in the natal chart. I'm gonna keep it real simple in this video as much as I can, but I talk a lot, so who knows what'll come through. But what I invite you to remember in the story as I tell the story of the signs and how they come together is that there's a reason that Aries governs the first house, and that the first house is the first house, and the second house has a reason for it, and Taurus has an energy that resonates with the creation of the self. So I split it in quarters, and the first quarter is really about the self-identity coming into creation. So the energies, the characteristics, the vibes that are in the first quarter, so the first house, the second house, and the third house, is Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. So a fire sign, an earth sign, and an air sign. So really intense. Let's get her done. Let's get her going. It's spring, baby. And then, whoa, okay, on se chill, come on, okay, on s'équilibre before summer comes along. And where the air gets warm and everything starts coming to life again. But some days are cold and you're like, where's the snow coming from? It makes no sense. Makes no sense. So moving into Aries. So Aries happens, and I find it really interesting. So Aries is the first sign in the astrological house, and I kind of like to see March 21st as the new year anyways. It makes more sense for me to have a new year when spring starts, and in my field of goals for my life, to have a new year start when Aries season starts on March 21st, as opposed to the dead of winter when it's dang cold and it's dark at 4 p.m. So Aries is the beginning of spring. It is spring. It's the introduction of spring. It's when spring arrives, and it's all about like getting new life and new beginnings going. It's time for that snow to melt. It's time for the days to get warm. It's time for the long johns to come off, for the ski layers to come off. Though I will admit I did go skiing during Aries season, but it was warm. It was ski printemps. But Aries is the fire starter. It's like brave, it's impulsive, it's charming, it's forceful. It like knows what it wants and it get things done. And it's really like Aries, they're so confident in their sense of self, even if they know they're wrong. Like they know that they're wrong with a purpose. So they're like, I don't care if I'm wrong. I got to figure out that I'm wrong by myself. No one is going to tell me that I'm wrong except myself, and I'm going to figure it out my way. And they go. Like Aries are stubborn, but in a good way, in a loving way. Like they get things going because the essence of their energy and of their vibes coming to life is all about birth and manifestation. So they're the fire that gets the cycle going. Like there would be no house if there was no fire that got it started. Like you gotta have a fire that starts the life going for life to even be. And that's the mission and mandate of Aries, which is governed by Mars. And Mars, we'll get into it when I talk about the planets, but Mars is the planet about your vitality and your force and your doing. So it's like where Mars is in your chart is it characterizes, and it really tells a story of how you do in life, how you really give birth to doing and creative projects, and how you do in your human being is the essence of your Mars. But Mars, the point of this is that Mars governs Aries, and Aries is all about getting her done. So that's the energy of Aries. It's fiery, gets the cycle going, gives birth to life, and it goes. It goes, it burns, and it'll deal with the consequences later. In Taurus season, where Taurus slows down and reassesses everything. Taurus, it casts the foundation for summer. Like there's no, if you think about Taurus season, there's no winter or summer, like it's just spring. And yeah, there'll be snow in between April 20th and May 20th, where I am anyways. Like I've certainly woken up with a snowstorm here and there, and I'm like, where did this come from? But then it'll melt out, and it's really just like an emphasis on, okay, we just got the whole cycle going in an Aries. We just got the whole fire. You may have burned yourself out like going fast because finally the days are getting longer and you could do more, but you need to remember to rest, sweet girl. You need to remember to chill yourself out so that you can shine and effortlessly radiate during the full bloom of summer. So Taurus season, the Taurus energy, Taurus in the chart, Taurus people and your sun, like you're very much about being sensual and being anchored inside of earth and anchored inside of your body. And it's the steady incremental change that anchors you more into life that you're after. Like you're not after getting it done quickly, you're after like getting it done right. And you don't care if it takes a long time. Like slow and steady wins the race. My Mars is in Taurus, so it's, I do slow and steady wins the race. Like I'm sensual in my doing, you see, like erotic freedom club is there. I'm sensual in my doing. I really need to feel connected to my body when it comes to like doing and being connected with my vitality and my life force. So I get it, Taurus. And you're very consistent. Like once you get it, once you're anchored in your rituals, like Taurus is a very consistent energy, and like you're loyal. You're so loyal. Taurus energy is so loyal, and they like you're slow, but it's for a reason. Like you can't be sensual in a fast way. You can only be sensual if you really appreciate the moment and appreciate the now and let it be. And there is a resistance to change when it comes to ritual and grounding. Like Taurus energy, once you found a ritual you like, it's really hard to poke you out of it. It's like, I'll move out of it when it's time. I'm like, let me do my thing. Peace. Because you have this lust for existence. And that's what Taurus is. It's a lust for existence. It's like, can we just appreciate the moment? Because we're finally out of winter. Like the White Walkers are gone. Can we just sing like the birds? Yeah, that's, can we just appreciate it? This summer's coming. Summer's coming. Can we just appreciate the now and the scent of the aliveness in the air? So that's what Taurus is about. It's ruled by Venus. Venus is the planet of pleasure and receiving and being in this sensual femininity that you are. It's not very much about doing. So that's what Taurus energies is. And then we move into Gemini, which is coming because now it's May 11th. It's coming, 10 days, Gemini season. And I'm thirsty, so I'm gonna take some of my green juice. I might have a green mustache after, but I'm in a little square, so you won't see the green mustache. I was taking pictures earlier today, and I have big teeth. I didn't realize that I had a lipstick all over my teeth, so I was like re-looking at the pictures, and I was like, that smells bad. And then I didn't realize, I'm like, oh, clean your teeth, girl. Gemini, May 21st to June 20th. Gemini is an air sign, and Gemini energy is all about gathering the momentum that propels us into summer. It needs to stop feeling bothered and weighed down by the heaviness of Taurus so that we can actually get things going and shine in the full bloom of summer. Because if you think about it, the whole year builds up for summer. We rest after summer and we get excited for summer. Like it's all about summer. And Gemini is this airy momentum it's got to be detached to make it all happen. Like that's what air is about. It just moves with a mission to make it happen. It doesn't really want to be held back to justify what it's doing. It just wants to go. You'll understand later. Like, you'll get it later. Like, Gemini's very multidimensional. They're all over the place. My dad is Gemini. And if I see him working around the house, I'm like, I either got to know where I'm going to help, but I can't really ask him, how can I help you? Because there's a million things that he's doing all at the same time. And it's more effort, like, explaining how I can help than just picking it up and doing it. He's a Gemini sun. He doesn't know his birth time, so I can't really see his chart. But like, he's super multidimensional. And then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I get what you were doing. It's all making sense. It comes together. But it's this, you'll get it later. Like, you'll get it later. I just got to do it energy. And they're super creative, and at the same time they're moody and they're heady. They're very in their heads, and they're dualistic. They're like Gemini, the sign. So you have this sign here is how they represent Gemini, the symbol. But it's also it's twins, right? It's also represented by twins, is an image of Gemini. And if you think about it, it's like it's dark and it's light. So Gemini, they're kind of in their head because they see the dual perspectives of everything, and they're always assessing it, whether they're realizing or not. And they're anchoring this connection that they find within the duality to move, like, with the solution inside of this duality, so that something can come together really beautifully and effortlessly. And Gemini is connected to Mercury. So Mercury is the planet that represents our mind and our thinking and our thoughts, which makes sense. Like, air, mind, thoughts, speed of light, always going through. I think I read and I hear that there's something like 35,000 thoughts that move through our heads in a day. It's wild. Anyways, moving on to the next quarter. Dun, dun, dun. Self-identity and expression. So that is the 4th house, the 5th house, and the 6th house of your chart. And by the way, I should say that, like, I say this is based on the solar chart. So for you, when you pull your chart, like, it doesn't mean that your 4th house is Cancer. It's just the 4th house is ruled by Cancer, just like the 5th house is ruled by Scorpio. But your actual house and your actual chart is, like, I think mine is Libra. So it's different. But that's the thing, like, that's astrology. You keep it simple, and it's the layers that layer onto one another that really add meaning, and the stories and the perspectives and the imagination that you can really lean into once you get the basics is like, anyways. Cancer. Funny story. So I found out about my sun sign in, like, grade 2. The librarian came to class to tell us about astrology and our horoscopes, and to tell us about how horoscopes are a thing. And she started going around asking us for our birthdays, and then she was, like, telling us our sun sign. And I was, like, kept hearing her tell these other kids that they had Cancer, and I was like, I really hope I'm not. What? And then she told me, and I started crying because I thought that I had, like, Cancer. Like, I was like, I didn't get it. You're in grade 2. You don't get it. Your kids are not dumb. Like, kids are really wise and really smart. But they're naive. Like, but if you think about it, like, I read something and I thought that it was really cool. Cancer energy, like, smothers you. Like, they're so mothering and so caring. Like, it could get overbearing. It could get too much, kind of like the disease. So, like, Cancer energy that's really wounded can be overbearing in her motherhood and forget her power in being the muse. So Cancer is all about going into the sacred depths. It's all about understanding, what did we just shed and move out of, so that we can come into full bloom and radiance for the summer. And it's like, we feel this warmth during Cancer season. It's like our senses are fully heightened. We can take our clothes off and feel the warm breeze on our skin, and like go in the water, and like there's just, we can go outside and go to these food festivals, and it's just like everything is heightened. The sensory of everything is just so heightened and just so beautiful and so like sensual and emotional, and that can be very emotional. Cancers are emotional. Like they cry a lot. There's a lot of memes about cancers that cry a lot. It's a thing. But I mean, our planet, we're ruled by the moon. Like the moon, she changes all the time. Like cancers change all the time, like the moon, in their emotions and in their waves. Not in that we change all the time, but like our energies, like it is really very much like a wave. And when you work with it and when you can understand it, it's magical, but it's an ever growing, beautiful process of growth and evolution over a lifetime. So like, yeah, Cancer is like this watery momentum. Like Cancer is a water sign, and it's this watery momentum that really cools everything down and nurtures everyone in the heat of it all. Yeah, Cancers cry a lot. I didn't used to cry at all. Like in my 20s, I think I used to brag, being like, I think the last time I cried, I was like a kid. But then I started getting my stars and I started getting my femininity, and oh baby, it's just like sometimes I'll just see a little baby deer and I'll start crying. It's wild. It's wild. Anyways, that's Cancer. Those are the sacred depths. And when you move and when you get into the actual heat of summer, once you've cooled down and you've really come to assess the transformation that you're moving into in the summer, when you really come to assess all the sensuality that's moving into your body, and you're learning how to jive with it and move with it and connect with it in the way where like you're really connected with it, in comes Leo season, baby. And Leo is all about the lion. And I saw a meme that like, I think someone called this like the Ariana Grande, and I'm like, I like that. It actually does look like Ariana Grande. So Leo is ruled by the sun, and it shines, and it's like a lion. I love Leos. My Mercury's in Leo. I think at the speed of light, and I process at the speed of light. It's insane. Can you tell in my face? Can you tell in my voice? I'm cooling it down. All right. Leo energy. I drink big jugs of water. I have a Kangen. I just consume water like a machine. I'm a mermaid. So Leo happens at the peak of summer. The sun is at its brightest, shiniest, most intense level that you'll experience all year. I think that the Sirius Stargate portal happens during Leo season, where Sirius, the Sirius star system, where their sun is 23 times the size of our sun. That's a bright ass sun. It's closest to Earth during Leo season, I believe. So it's like we're really close to light during Leo season, and we're embodying all this light that will take us through the next wave of transformation that we have in the winter. And yeah, sorry, my juice is like making me burp, and I don't want to burp on the microphone. I do burp in public. I don't really care. I do care, but whatever, we're all human. So Leo is the fire sign that's ready to really move with the heat of summer and experience life to the fullest, to get things done while you're alive, while you're going, while you're growing, while you're excited about life. Leo is bold. Leo is confident and assertive, and it's a little self-centered. It like Leo energy loves itself. My mind is in Leo. My Mercury is in Leo, and my mind loves itself. Like I'm always journaling and looking at what's in there and reading and discussing in the mirror. Like my mind is a little self-centered with itself. I get it, Leos. And like Leos can be controlling. Like my mind absolutely wants to control the conversation sometimes. I got to check myself. And it's like they mean well. It's just because they're so charming and they're so full of fire and confident that they just want to share it all with the world. Like when a Leo is in their power and 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 it's like very grounded and rooted and connected, like they can create space for everyone in the room to shine. So Leo season's all about, like Leo energy is all about that. It's all about shining and being bright. And it's this charismatic power that will really allow you to create the memories that will keep you warm when we transition into the winter phases, when the White Walkers are coming. You know what I'm talking about? Although I'm grateful we don't actually have White Walkers. Those are scary looking things. Into Virgo energy. So Virgo happens during August 21st to September 20th. And I put a little lady there. Virgo is not, is it? I guess it is. I'll double check that. I'll write it in the notes. I put a little lady there because Virgo, like I read somewhere that Virgo's tied to Venus. And it's all about like gathering the harvest, which it is. Virgo is harvest season, and her flowers meant more to me than the M and the P. Like I don't really get the M and the P looking symbol for Virgo, so I put the lady with the flowers, and that's Virgo. It's all about harvesting. It's all about preparing for the next cycle of full sensory experiences that comes in the next summer after you've experienced a transition of the winter and reflection. That's Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Pisces season. Like those are more like chilled out where you reflect on it all. Virgo's where you gather all the things. It's where you get all the treasures and the booty so that you can have a plentiful, restful season. So Virgo is like, it's hyper focused. Virgo is an energy that's very detailed oriented. It could be overthinking sometimes. It's very organized. It's very responsible. It's very disciplined. And it seeks perfection in the transition. Like you can't mess up the harvest. You have to have your food in the transition between summer and winter. Like you have to make sure that you've planned properly for the harvest so that you can move into the next season and not worry about your basic needs and safety. And Virgo is all about like rerouting your story into the next season. So like I'm seeing a cool note that I put here yesterday when I was making these slides. Like Wrecking Ball came out during Virgo season, and I thought that it was really cool. It came out September 9th, the music video for Wrecking Ball, and I remember watching it. And that's really reminiscent of like Miley Cyrus rerouted her whole entire career when Wrecking Ball came out. She didn't want to be Hannah Montana and be tied to Disney anymore. She wanted to have her new season and her new beginnings. So like she did everything, like the VMAs and all the things that she did. She just didn't want to have anything. She did all the moves that she needed to do so that Disney were like, yo, we don't want anything to do with this girl anymore. Like we're done. So like Wrecking Ball came out to create a new narrative, which I thought was really cool. So like it's Thanksgiving during Virgo season in Canada anyways. So Virgo's transitory mutations. It's all about moving into the next cycle and into the next energy and being very detail oriented and organized in your wave into the next energies. The third quarter, self-expansion, and I'm seeing is water. Imagine like this tooth here that I have, once I banged a beer bottle on it a little too hard and I like the tooth chipped off. It was embarrassing. Had like a broken smile. Beer bottle. So the third quarter, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. My point was, I hope I don't, I accidentally cling my glasses to my teeth sometimes. I hope that it doesn't happen while I'm recording something. Libra energy. Libra energy, like the third quarter is all about self-expansion. So if you think about it, we got ourself is alive, ourself is connected to the home and to our creativity and to our self-expression, and we're really detail oriented. We're moving into the next season and we're into Libra season. Libra leads us into fall and really helps us find beauty in the balance of transition. So it happens between September 21st and October 20th. The harvest is over, the food is stored away, and it's really about appreciating the cooler energies that are coming through the changing of the colors of the leaves. Here, where I am living anyways, the leaves change color. Like balance needs to be maintained throughout the season so that winter can happen in a way that's very like sustainable for everyone, so that the next season can be prosperous. So like the main energy for Libra, the main thing is balance. Balance is so important. Libra energy, like, gosh, I love Libras. But there's almost like this people pleasing energy to them, because Cancers are people pleasers galore as well. We're all people pleasers, but Libras are always trying to like achieve this balance and perspective when there's many perspectives to the table. So they almost like can't make up their mind because they're so thoughtful about everything and everyone, and they want to have so much balance across everything. So it's like Libra is super thoughtful and it seeks balance, and it's almost indecisive inside of this continuous balance seeking. And they're a little self-pitying sometimes because they care so much about everyone that they don't take time to care for themselves. But when they do take time to care for themselves, and when they know how to balance their own time and their own resources and their own needs and their own everything, like that's where the magic happens. So like Libras are, and like Libras have nice bums too. Like Libras are very balanced everywhere. Like balance is the theme of Libra's life. And it's this imaginative equilibrium. It's like, let's think about creative solutions to achieve balance so that we don't deplete all of the resources and all of the happiness that we have now. And Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus is this energy of beauty and it's this sensuality. So that is what Libra is. Libra is the sensuality inside of the balance, beauty inside of the balance. And imagine in a world where it's prosperous and there's enough for everyone and everything, the kind of beauty that Libra can create when they can balance the plentiness of everything. Like, we all need balance in a world of prosperity. We can have too much freedom and mess ourselves up. And when Libra can like balance all that, magic happens. Magic happens. Okay, I gotta pee, so I'm gonna stop this video and give it a little break. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're like, okay, cool, why don't you just